How do you implement HACCP principles?
Hi. I am David. I am a food safety manager at Wegmans. We have Danielle who will be joining us on our assignment today.
Hi. I am Danielle. I am a newly hired food safety technician at Wegmans. I will be accompanying you and David on your assignment today to learn the various aspects of implementation of HACCP principles. David, I need to refresh my knowledge regarding HACCP to provide safe and wholesome food for our customers. So, what is HACCP?
Danielle, I am happy to help both of you refresh your knowledge regarding HACCP. HACCP is an abbreviation that stands for Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Points. The most basic concept of HACCP is that of prevention rather than inspection.
How do you define HACCP?
HACCP is defined as a proactive, prevention-oriented system that addresses food safety through the analysis and control of biological, chemical, and physical hazards at all stages from production to consumption.
David, when and where did HACCP originate?
The HACCP system was first developed by the Pillsbury Company, U.S. Army Natick Laboratories, and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, in 1959, in response to the food safety requirements imposed by the NASA for space foods produced for manned space flights.
Wow. That's interesting. How does the HACCP system play a significant role in the production of safe and wholesome food?
The HACCP system helps you identify all reasonably expected food hazards from farm to fork, accommodate any changes made to a food service operation, target resources to the most critical part of a food service operation, ease the job of food inspectors, as all the essential documentation will be readily available during inspection, improve the relationship between food processors, food inspectors, and consumers, and promote international trade as a global food safety standard.
What is meant by a food hazard?
A food hazard is any substance present in food that is reasonably likely to cause injury, illness, or death of the consumer, if not controlled properly.
What are the types of food hazards?
Food hazards are categorized into 3 types. They are biological hazards caused by pathogenic microorganisms like bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites. Chemical hazards caused by exposure of foods to toxins, chemicals, adulterants, and allergens above safe limits. Physical hazards caused by foreign objects such as metal, wood, plastic, bone, etc. that results in injury or choking, if swallowed. The food hazards may enter food at any point in the food chain such as harvesting, production, or consumption. So far, we learned the definition, origin, and significance of HACCP, along with the 3 types of food hazards, their causes, and prevention. Now, let's test your knowledge.
David, what are prerequisite programs for HACCP?
Prerequisite programs are the programs that must be carefully established and maintained for the successful implementation of HACCP principles. It is impossible to implement the HACCP principles without a solid foundation of the prerequisite programs. Let's consider this scenario. What are the essential prerequisites for maintaining a safe, clean, and healthy home?
Oh. It's a simple question. We must ensure to keep the surroundings and interior of our house clean and tidy. We do so by cleaning the house and putting the garbage out once a week for garbage pickup. We ensure that the kitchen is kept clean to cook food that is safe, wholesome, and healthy. We keep away pests and rodents by calling upon a pest control personnel at least once in 6 months.
Excellent response, Danielle. See, you are already well aware of all the prerequisite programs needed for the successful implementation of HACCP principles. All the aspects that are involved with maintaining a safe, clean, and healthy home also hold good for establishing and maintaining a safe, clean, and healthy environment and operating conditions necessary for the production of safe, wholesome, and healthy food, to provide our customers with a superior quality of customer service.
David, can you provide some examples of the prerequisite programs for HACCP to help me understand better?
Some of the examples of prerequisite programs for HACCP are maintaining facility-wide sanitation, chemical control program, employee training, pest control program, coding and labeling, consumer complaint management, and product traceability and recall.
What are the important factors needed for the successful establishment of the prerequisite programs?
They are commitment from the management, accurate documentation with written standard operating procedures, employee training to adhere to the SOPs, verification of the SOPs, and availability of resources for their maintenance. So far, we have learned the prerequisite programs, their examples, and the important factors needed for their establishment. Now, let's test your knowledge.
David, how do the 7 principles of HACCP help to ensure food safety?
The 7 principles of HACCP help in the analysis and control of the 3 types of food hazards in a specific food product, so that they can be prevented, eliminated, or reduced to safe levels.
David, who is responsible for the analysis and control of the 3 types of food hazards?
Danielle, the HACCP team of a food service facility is accountable for the analysis and control of the 3 types of food hazards in a specific food product. They do so by writing a HACCP plan based on the ingredients and finished product for each food, along with product handling, flow, timing, and processing equipment used to produce it.
What are the 7 principles of HACCP?
Let's consider the scenario of what your parents did when you fell sick. Danielle, what was the first thing they did?
They always try to find out the probable cause for my illness.
Good. In terms of HACCP, they try to conduct hazard analysis to find out the hazard that caused your illness. So, the first principle is to conduct hazard analysis to identify the potential hazards in food using the menu, to see how a specific food is processed. This helps to identify where the hazards are likely to occur for a specific food. What did they do next?
They try to find various ways to prevent the probable cause for my illness.
Right. In terms of HACCP, they tried to determine the critical control points to prevent, eliminate, or reduce the probable cause for your illness. The second principle is to determine critical control points. Each food may have more than one critical control point based on its processing. What did they do after that?
They set certain health limits that I had to adhere to in order to stay healthy.
Excellent. In terms of HACCP, they tried to establish critical limits that you had to achieve in order to stay healthy. The third principle is to establish critical limits that must be met for each critical control point. What did they do next?
They monitored me to see if I strictly adhered to the health limits set by them.
Right. In terms of HACCP, they tried to establish monitoring procedures to ensure that you adhered to their health limits to stay healthy. The fourth principle is to establish monitoring procedures to ensure that the established critical limits are consistently met, along with identifying an individual to monitor them. What did they do afterward?
They had other health alternatives, in case I failed to adhere to their health limits.
Great. In terms of HACCP, they tried to establish corrective actions, in case you deviated from their health limits. The fifth principle is to establish corrective actions for deviations, to prevent food contamination. What did they do next?
They verified if their health plan prevented my illness.
Right. In terms of HACCP, they verified if their control points, critical limits, monitoring procedures, and corrective actions prevented your illness. The sixth principle is to establish verification and validation procedures to check if all the prior principles prevent the analyzed food hazard. What did they finally do?
They documented my health records and medical bills for future reference.
Excellent. In terms of HACCP, they documented your health records and invoices for future reference. The seventh principle is to establish record-keeping and documentation procedures for monitoring logs, corrective actions, shipping invoices, etc. for a specific period. They can be referred to, in case of a foodborne disease outbreak, to support the HACCP plan. So far, both of you learned the 7 principles of HACCP. Now, let's test your knowledge.